Welcome back. Let's in fact talk about the Prime Minister's trip to the United States now. He's left for a 3-day visit there. He's headed to the US for Quad as well as bilateral talks. He's also going to be addressing the UN General Assembly. So a packed 3 days for the Prime Minister. Let's straight away go across to Srinjoy, who's joining us to give us a little more details and perspective here. Srinjoy, this is going to be extremely important, this 3-day visit. Lots on the agenda. What are some of the most important things at this point to watch out for?
Well, there are really 3 or 4 things. On the 23rd, it begins with a business meeting with top business leaders of the United States. Naturally, investment is an issue, investment in India, that is. After which there are 3 meetings, one after the other. It begins with a bilateral with the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. Then there is a meeting with Kamala Harris, which could be historic in some ways because she's of Indian origin, the first Vice President of India, of America to be of Indian origin. Then, of course, a meeting with Mr. Suga, who is the Japanese Prime Minister, after which the next day is really that meeting with President Biden, and then the Quad Summit. Right after that, the Prime Minister leaves for New York, and at about 10 o'clock in the morning, early in the morning, New York Eastern Standard Time, Prime Minister speaks at the UNGA. And that's going to be a 20-minute speech, after which, unless there is a last-minute bilateral, he will fly back. So it's a very packed schedule, as you rightly said. Lots on the agenda, Afghanistan on the agenda, how to control the Taliban, rein in the Taliban, through perhaps either through financial sanctions and similar things, or through the issue of legitimacy, whether that can be done. Indo-Pacific, which is a euphemism for China, that will come up. As far as Pakistan is concerned, well, the Foreign Secretary himself has said cross-border terrorism is the issue. So all these things, apart from climate change, apart from COVID, from start to finish, meaning from research right to the distribution of vaccines, all of that will come up in these discussions.
Yes, absolutely, Srinjoy. In fact, just one other point here, which even yesterday we heard the Foreign Secretary try to allay that, saying that the AUKUS is not going to have any impact or is not going to dilute the agenda of the Quad. That's something that also is an important point, which has become a bit of a talking point at this right now.
Well, the AUKUS is an entirely military alliance. Here is America and Britain helping Australia to make nuclear submarines. And that is not something the Quad is interested in. The Quad is, at least right now, it is a diplomatic grouping. It will discuss issues that like Afghanistan. It will discuss the Indo-Pacific. It will talk about vaccines. It will talk about climate change. All of that, in a sense, the Quad is a much bigger issue. There are 4 countries, and India and America are common. Apart from that, India and Australia are also part of AUKUS. But instead of Britain, and Prime Minister Johnson will also be there in Washington around the same time, you have India and Japan. Now, the point here is that the outlook of these 2 organizations are very different. The AUKUS looks at a military alliance which is to counter Chinese military expansionism. India, Australia, America, and Japan are grouped together in the Quad, and there are different issues to look at. India is the Quad is not just looking at China. The Quad is looking at the world, and not just it's not a military alliance, but we are looking at vaccines. You are looking at climate change. You are looking at the world, entire world, Afghanistan, humanitarian issues. All of this is part of Quad.
Yes, absolutely, Srinjoy. Thank you for getting us all of those details and putting all of that into perspective. So lots to look out for and track as far as the Prime Minister's visit to the US is concerned. We'll, of course, keep track of all of those developments.